Hello, today we're going to learn about scatter plots. A scatter plot is a graph of a set of data points. Correlation is a tendency of the slope of a scatter plot. A scatter plot can have negative correlation, no correlation, or positive correlation. The correlation coefficient R is a number between -1 and +1 that measure how well the line represents a set of data points. If you have an R value that is close to +1, that means that you will have a line that has a positive slope. If you have an R value that is close to -1, that means that you will have a line that has a negative slope. If your R value is close to 0, that means it's really not going up or down in either direction. And so these two values are not really correlated with each other. And so they don't really have much association with each other at all. And so that is what happens when your R value is close to 0, is that there's no correlation. So here we have 3 examples of those. In this first one, this is a graph that has a negative correlation. And you can see that because if I were to draw a line, I have a slope that's negative. So here my R value would be close to -1. In this middle graph, it doesn't really make sense to draw a line with a positive slope or a line with a negative slope, right? And so these two values, these variables that we're looking at, they're not really correlated. And so here your R value would be close to 0. In this last graph, we have a line that has positive correlation. And I can see that because if I were to draw a line, it would be going up from left to right, meaning that it has a positive slope. So here my R value would be close to 1. These lines that I've just drawn can be found more accurately by finding a line of best fit. So a line of best fit is a line that lines as close as possible to all the data points. The line of best fit should have as many points as possible that are on the line. Of the points that are not on the line, approximately half should be below the line and half should be above the line. So in this example over here, we have our data points, and this gray line represents our line of best fit. And the equation for that line is y equals 0.7435x plus 62.762. And so that is a line of best fit for this data. Here we're looking at the number of minutes spent studying for a test and the associated test scores. So here it looks like we have a positive correlation between these two variables. So the more time spent studying is positively correlated with the score on the test. Now there is a difference between correlation and causation. Correlation exists between two variables when one of them is related in some way but not affected by the other. Causation exists when one event causes another event to occur. So for example, these two variables are correlated, right? But there could be a student that didn't study at all and still gets a 100. And so that would happen like if I had a data point that was here. So the student spent 5 minutes studying and got a 100. That could happen. Just because you study doesn't mean that you're going to do well. It's positively correlated. It's more than likely going to happen, but it's not a fact. It's not a cause. Something that would be a causation would be the longer you stand outside in the rain, the more your clothes are going to be wet, right? That is a fact. That's going to happen. Let's say you don't have an umbrella, you don't have a raincoat on. The longer you stand outside in the rain, the more your clothes will get wet, the longer you stay out there. That is a causation. Another causation would be if you have ice cream out in the sun, and let's say it's a 95-degree day, then your ice cream is going to melt the longer you stay outside in the sun. but as a fact, it's going to happen. So just because two variables are correlated, like in this example right here, it doesn't mean that it's a causation. So correlation happens between two variables when one doesn't cause the other, and causation happens when one event causes the other event for it to happen. It's a fact. So like if it rains outside, the level of the water in the lake is going to go up. That's a fact. It's going to happen.